Visit our restaurants. So that's the number one thing I would say is go into our restaurant. If you haven't been to Maggiano's and then you come and try to talk to me about our wine program, I'm going to know pretty immediately that you have not been in our restaurants.
What's a good way for folks to approach you that they have a high chance of getting an appointment? What would that email title look like? What would that body, what would that approach look like? If you were to tell your friend, like that this is how you behind the scene do it, how would you explain that?
I mean, I think
like in all seriousness, I mean, this is a perfect approach and you will love this,
I think my perfect approach is as Rachel said, like relationships are super important.
So lunch, dinner, coffee first?
Well, and just having connections with the industry, like it's great if it's a new supplier, but somebody I know, like Katelyn knows them, and they know that they're an amazing, supplier for her, like having a mutual connection.
I'm just going to do back and forth here. So rather, they try that approach, saying, can you refer me for an appointment?
Regards that I will have for a new appointment is a referral.
Okay.
And so it's like, approaching me and saying, hey, I know somebody that you work with or that you know, and I think we have some great opportunities specifically for Maggiano's. One of the things that I don't like is getting an email that's a very blanket email, and you can tell that, they just popped in Maggiano's and they popped in my name. Like there's nothing specific to my concept. There's nothing that would maybe make sense. And so just not, sending me those because I'm going to not respond.
How can suppliers research about, get educated about your own businesses in crafting that pitch better in the post?
Visit our restaurants. So that's the number one thing I would say is go into our restaurant. If you haven't been to Maggiano's and then you come and try to talk to me about our wine program, I'm going to know pretty immediately that you have not been in our restaurant. So.
Got it. And you said a few things about your model agency and RFPs. Where can people find about where does this RFP?
So we currently work with a third party, IMI, but there's a ton of those out there. But also our distributor partners are a big piece of that. So
what question do the suppliers ask? Like, is there RFP open for your group?
Yeah, I would say that they can ask that, and they can also say, what's the chance that I can, maybe have an appointment with them, and that our agency partner will come to me and they say there's somebody reaching out. I think it would be a good fit, so they kind of vet that for me a little bit too. So that's kind of how I would think the perfect process would be for me.
Cool. We'll use the referral approach. How about you?
I think that this is going to be remotely similar across the board. But without using RFPs and things like that, obviously, and Rachel touched on this in her presentation as well, but it's really important to be prepared. Know your customer. So we don't want to waste your time. We don't want to waste my time. I know everyone is trying to ultimately make a sale, but if it's not going to work for, said concept, don't worry about it. As for kind of the blanket email template, they're more recognizable than I think people tend to realize because I know I get tons of them. One extra special tidbit is make sure that you're spelling the person's name correctly. It is literally my email address. You have to type it correctly to send the email. And I know mistakes are made all the time, but it's easy to own those. And if you just don't even notice that one detail that you literally had to type it one way and then you're choosing to type it another way, that already shows me that you're just not taking that little extra moment to actually be thoughtful about that pitch. Visiting the restaurants, the concepts is the best way to get to know what are we doing.
But can people just visit, sorry to interrupt, just like say, I'm here to do a research before I pitch your buyer?
Oh, they love it.
Absolutely. And we also, I mean, I'm going to speak for myself here. I put all of our things online as well. You can access all of our menus, especially now with things are shifting to so much online, QR codes. It's pretty easy to find the template. And oftentimes, especially in the current climate, I don't have as much time as I would like to be extra creative and to really dig into the program and find those holes. There's always going to be a hole. It's your job as suppliers to kind of look at that program and say, what out of my portfolio or what can I pitch to you that's going to fit this program and why?
But Katelyn, how will they know the holes, by just looking at the menu? Where would they ask? Who would they?
Well, I think that comes with being a good supplier and knowing your own portfolio. And if you look at my wine list and you're like, okay, great, you have these 3 Cabernets, for example, but you're missing this one region. I have one, great. I'm going to use that as a pitching market.
Yep.
Or I see that you're missing, a Chenin Blanc or whatever it may be. Do you have interest in that? Is there a reason why that's not currently on your menu? Because it could just be seasonal. It could just because I had this available and it was the right time. Oftentimes these things are perfect opportunities. If I taste with a supplier and they're pitching something that maybe I was like, oh, I didn't know that I needed that. And then with current supply chain issues, there's more opportunity than ever to kind of slide into holes. Supply chain issue is real, and I know that. So obviously, I don't want to see gaps in supply, but I know that it's a reality, and it happens all the time. But making sure that you're looking at the program and seeing what are you offering that can help add to that program, and using the resources that are available to you. I mean, most menus you can find online. Also, you can look up a lot about what do they cater to. If you know that they're catering to sports and entertainment venues, you're probably not going to pitch them some exclusive first growth situation that they can get 6 bottles of. Knowing that there's different avenues within that will also help your sales pitch. I mean, for us, we're a restaurant group, but over the past 2 years, we're quickly pivoting and navigating new things. We've shifted to now an online system, and we have a little home goods element to our restaurant group, and we're doing prepackaged dinners and meals and experiences and home goods, and we've built out actually a smaller retail section in some of our restaurant concepts. And so just because it doesn't necessarily fit the restaurant, maybe for a glass pour program, then I also have that retail option. And so just knowing that about any customer that you're going to walk into is going to help you be able to make that sales pitch and to hit them in the right moment.